Welcome to WKNI TV 25. Good news segment, trying to get everything going here. We've got three guests, and Willie, we appreciate you bringing your friends along with you to share them with us today. In the center here is Willie, and what kind of, well, first let me introduce you to Deborah Evans and Jim Flournoy. I knew I wasn't going to get it right.
That's a tough one.
But welcome, y'all represent the Andalusia Area Humane Society, and welcome aboard. Good job y'all do, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Well, let's see, Willie's how old?
Willie is about 11 months old now.
And 250 pounds.
Maybe just 60.
Closer to about 60 or 65.
He's just a lover.
He really is.
He's a good boy.
I can give you a little bit of background on him if you'd like.
Sure.
The Humane Society has a new building over on Pearl Street, and Willie and his brother were neighborhood strays that we took in at about 3 months old. So during the time that they would have been at their cutest puppy stage, where they would have been the most adoptable, they were unfortunately being treated for mange. They both had really terrible mange, and so we took them in, we worked with them, got them well, got them neutered, and their rabies shots and their puppy shots and everything, and it took a little while. It took a couple of months, I guess, didn't it, to really get them back on the road to recovery. But
so this is actually a rescued animal.
Absolutely, rescued strays.
Rescued strays. And so he was out there in that neighborhood, and no telling who, just probably litter puppies that somebody had, and puppies got away, and they just. Yeah, well, that happens a lot.
Someone in the neighborhood told us at one point that the mother had actually died, and they were just on their own.
So they were orphans.
Yeah, they were orphans too, and they are both beautiful.
And he's part lab.
Yes.
And he's got something else in him. I'm not quite sure, but
I don't know that we know either.
I was going to say, Jim, it's your turn here. Well, what's the other part?
I wish I knew, but. He's a Heinz 57.
That's, I was fixing to say, that's what my mom and dad would say. He's a Heinz 57. So people ask what that is, okay? What's a Heinz 57? That's steak sauce. Well, if you know what the Heinz 57 steak sauce is, you'd know what that's meant by. Heinz 57 is a dash of a little bit of everything to go on your steak. And they take, Worcestershire sauce and all sorts of stuff, mix it all together, and they call it Heinz 57. So that's why they say, Heinz 57 on a pet is that he is a mix of whatever. So, but that doesn't take away from how beautiful he is.
No.
And is he singly up, or is he up for adoption as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. He is up for adoption. He's about 11 months old, and we've known him since he was about 3 months, and he's actually at our home right now being fostered, waiting for his new home, and he goes to the Humane Society's building every Saturday. We're having adoption days and open houses, because we have our new building there, and we want people to know where we are and come by and see us. So he is absolutely available for adoption to the right home.
Now, we're going to talk about that when we go through all the stuff with the Humane Society. I want to stay on Willie here just a little bit, but Willie is fully adoptable. Is there going to be a pet fee for him? There is.
There's a pet fee because the Humane Society Spay and Neuter Fund actually covered and paid for his surgery, his neuter surgery, and his rabies. Then the adoption fee is to help put that money back into our Spay Neuter Fund to then pay it forward for another animal. And while it doesn't cover all of the expenses that he's had, it goes a long way to helping. And so his adoption fee is $92, but for that you get a dog that has already been microchipped, he's up to date on shots, and he's neutered. So there's a lot of expense that's already been taken care of when someone adopts Willie and gives Willie a home.
Well, of course, the next question, Jim, is going to be, is he housebroken or is he outside?
He's an outside dog. We really haven't had him and his brother inside the house, but they're in a comfortable outside house, and I don't guess we've had an experience with him in the house.
No.
He's an outside dog.
No. He's outside, so he's make a good watchdog, obviously.
Got a big, strong wolf.
Because of the nature of having to treat them, they literally were in isolation outside for a number of months, and so we just haven't. I'm sure he's very smart, and I'm sure he could be house trained if somebody wanted to spend the time with it. It just takes a little time. But no, he's
a lover. I mean, he's just sitting there, folks.
Yeah.
This is live television that we're doing right now. There's cars going by outside. We're sitting here talking. There's movement in the background, and he is just sitting there, just as calm as could be. And that's a good. I don't want to say he's a lap dog, but
He might would be.
He'd like to be. He'd like to be.
Well, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the Humane Society. Well, let's do this first, okay? We're going to have y'all come on as often as possible, hopefully on every Tuesday as we've arranged. And we're hopefully going to have a pet to adopt on here. So it's going to be Adopt a Pet on WKNI TV every Tuesday at noon or at 12:30, and we'll hopefully have some others. Now, I want to warn folks about, they say, oh, the Humane Society will take in all pets, the Humane Society will do this. There's a problem with that, because a lot of rescue places get inundated with unwanted animals, and it takes money to take care of these unwanted animals. As much as we would love to have every dog and cat in the world come in that's not wanted, there's also reality, and the reality is money and space available. The new building that y'all have, you're trying to renovate it, get it set up so you have a place for these animals. And you also have a building fund I think you're working on now to get going. I want to talk about the bake sales. I want to talk about, there every Saturday to do something and have people come by, not just drop pets off. Now, if I had a stray animal and I found him, what is the requirement for me to drop him off with the Humane Society?
Well, the Humane Society at this point in time is really set up as a support agency for our City Andalusia Animal Shelter.
Okay.
We are not in any way trying to replace or duplicate the efforts of the Andalusia Animal Shelter.
Very important message here.
Absolutely,
Larry.
absolutely. At the beginning of this year, we approached the mayor and the city council with a proposal for the Humane Society to be designated as Friends of the Shelter, which allows us to have a good working relationship with with Kristen and Missy that are employed at the shelter and do the hard work that they do so well. And what we want to be able to do with our building and our facility is to extend support to them. It is a city operation. Their hours are limited at times, and we would like to be able to work. They have the animals. We understand that we're going to have animals from time to time. That just if you build it, they will come.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that all animals that come to the Humane Society will remain with the Humane Society. If they are healthy and adoptable, and they've got as good a chance at the shelter, because they actually do have a well-established adoption setup out there. And people come.
People know to go out there.
They know to go out there. If animals are lost, that's the first place they're going to look. They do a great job of putting the animals on Facebook and getting it out there. And so we're here in a support role. These two animals needed our care, and that's how we got involved with
You
those.
actually fostered these.
Yes, they came to us, and they needed. It was the kind of care that we could provide, which was giving them the baths and getting them over the mange. And some of those resources, we can provide some resources that may or may not be available at the shelter. So it's just trying to figure out how we're all going to work together to give these animals the best opportunity to get well, be adopted, and find their new home.
Now, basically what you're telling me, you're a networking setup.
Yes.
to
Absolutely.
excuse me, to put people together and pets together to find a future home or whatever's necessary for them as far as keeping them up or whatever. They're not, if somebody came up and said, I want to be a foster, parent is exactly what I would call it, foster parent to one of these wonderful animals. do they have certain criteria they have to meet? And
There would be, yes, there would be. And it's just a matter of making sure that the conditions are right for that animal. It's almost like matching the animal just like you would with an adoption at some point. Because there can't be too many animals in a foster situation because none of them get the right attention.
well, there's a lot of folks, you see it on Facebook. I mean, I bet you I can tell you there's 5 or 6 different rescue missions out there for pets, and I'm not talking bad about them, but they don't have the ability that you all have and that the pound has in order to facilitate the animal's needs on a regular basis. And there's a good heart there, okay? Many times there's a good heart. We've seen tragedy with this as well. We've seen several of these rescue places that were abusing the animals. And so it's a fine line there, but this is a national association with the local association working together, correct?
Correct. Transparency is really the key. An organization that is transparent to the public, where the public can walk in and see the conditions, know where they are, and see the animals and be with the animals. That really is one of the main things. There are a lot of rescues that start with wonderful intentions and can get overwhelmed very quickly. And if they don't have the support that they need at the time, they can get in trouble. And that is where we see some headlines and situations. It's not that that people don't set out that way for it to happen. It's just they can be overwhelmed. We have too many animals. Spay and neuter is the most important thing that we can do to help eliminate the overpopulation problem and keep these animals we're out of rescues, out of shelters, from wandering the streets. And that has always been a main focus of the Andalusia Humane Society. The organization has been here since 1986. They've been around a long time, and they've always had a very, very good program for spay-neuter, especially with people with low income spay-neuter. We just now this year have the building, and we're going to have a more visible place in the society, in the community, where we can actually do more, I think.
Deborah and Jim, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll talk more with you and with Willie here. He seems to be snoozing off there. And he's comfortable. Jim, you might end
He
up
doesn't
with
get this kind of couch attention too much.
Well, I'll tell you.
He loves it.
You might not want to go home with us.
I'm telling you. He's on a comfortable couch, and he's just loving that lap over there. But folks, we're going to be right back right after these messages. Remember, keep it real, keep God in it. This is Eddie Lewis with Deborah and Jim from the Andalusia Area Humane Society. And welcome back to WKNI TV 25 Good News. We're here with Deborah and Jim from the Andalusia Area Humane Society. And we've got Willie here, who is up for adoption. And folks, I'm telling you, this guy is going to make somebody a great pet. Little large for a lap dog for me, but he has definitely shown that he loves laps and he loves the attention. So somebody could get themselves a wonderful, wonderful pet. Let's talk about spay and neuter. That is a big problem here in this country, where people get pets and they love them. The intentions are right. You know, there's, I want a cat or I want a dog. And they get it. And then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks later, they go into heat. And what's heat? Well, that's when they go into season to be bred. And the males jump fences. Males will tear things apart to get to a female dog. And then you have puppies. And, they're so cute. All right. Then they get this size. And they go, they're big and cute, but they eat a lot. Okay? So you get to that point where importance of spaying and neuter is the answer to the overpopulation of the animals. Yes. And tell us a little bit about that.
It is the core of solving the problem. There's no question about it. And we have laws, and in fact, many of the states, and Alabama included, has a law that for shelters and rescues and humane societies, we are required for those animals to be spayed or neutered that come into our care before they leave our care. And that's what our spay-neuter fund is all about. And the group has for years has had a low-income, low-cost spay-neuter program. We're lucky that we have our vets in our area work very closely with us. Many counties in Alabama don't have these kind of resources. We have some incredible resources here. This year, the Humane Society expanded our spay-neuter program to include strays. This is the part of the program that covers spay and neuter for adoptions from the Andalusia Animal Shelter, where we're now partnering with them, and we participate in the spay-neuter of every animal that is adopted from the shelter. So it makes it a little bit easier maybe for people to take an animal to the shelter, knowing that once it's adopted, it's going to be, it gets fixed. They've always done that, but they were limited in the surgeries would kind of get pushed further and further ahead because Dr. Bush was doing the work. We have all the vets involved in that now, and so it's working a lot better. We're getting it done a lot of times before the animal ever goes home to its new family. And then we also are able to do that for people, just people that contact us. A stray has come up, they've fallen in love with it, they want to keep it, and we can offer that to them too as a thank you for just taking care of a stray.
Let me ask you this, and I don't know, it's just something when we started talking about the law about spaying and neutering. If your dog is captured from running loose and you go to the pound and pick it up, do you not have to have it spayed or neutered at some point?
You know, that's a good point, and I hadn't thought about that. I haven't. It's not something I've had any experience with.
I've never heard that. If
I think there's some states that do that, and it's not a penalty. It's just, again, the safety and keeping, nipping it in the bud, as they say. And I don't know if Alabama has that law or not. But
I'm not aware of that. I do know that for adoptions. As far as one being reclaimed, I don't know anything about that. It's worth
something to look into.
Yeah.
We're going to also talk about, we have seen a lot of it here lately, unfortunately. The pit bull fighting has come up, and cruelty to animals, senseless, stupid things. And I'll tell you, nothing will irritate me more than you hurt a child, you hurt an elderly person, or you hurt a pet or an animal. I'll come unglued and do some ugly things, and don't want to get on Christian-like, but these guys that I just mentioned, the children and the elderly and animals, they really don't have a defense. And somebody wants to be cruel. I have seen worst-case scenarios where people burn the animals and people do crazy,
there's just horrible stuff.
Awful stuff. The pit bull fighting here locally, y'all didn't have nothing directly with that here, as I understand, correct?
The Humane Society of the United States was involved in that case, in that much larger case, but on a local level, we were not involved in it.
Okay.
I will say that it is the reason that we oppose free to a good home. We don't do it. It's not, and would like to encourage everyone that considers that in this day and age, there are too many predators out there looking to take advantage of that situation who are not, the animals will not end up in a good situation at all.
Have you ever heard of a bait dog?
Well, see, that's right. Okay, thank you, Jim, and we're going longer now, because I'm telling you, this irked me. I did not know about it till this weekend.
It's horrible.
Okay, and it came up, there was a young lady that does rescue work, okay? She saw this animal that had duct tape, she thought, around its mouth. Okay, and I saw it on Facebook, and I went crazy. I mean, folks, I'm telling you, you don't hurt an animal around me, okay? And anyway, she said the dog had duct tape around its mouth, and it looked like it was starving and hungry and needed attention. Well, my first thing is I'm going to call the authorities, and I did, okay? Come to find out now, according to the owners of this, two dogs apparently that had tape around their mouths, was that they got snake bit. And they had, the medical tape that was there holding bandages on, but the mouths were not closed shut. But that's when I heard about bait dogs, and I saw the picture for the first time of what a bait dog looks like. And can I say what they are, please, if you don't
Absolutely.
mind?
Oh, as
Folks, they're dogs with the duct tape around their snout, duct tape legs, duct tape whatever part of their body to keep them from defending themselves or being able to get away from a dog that's being trained to fight and kill. And they have no defense, none whatsoever. And guys like him and little...
he would actually be a perfect target for that because he's big and he's gentle and...
he's submissive to the other dogs, which then just rip... Folks, I'm not trying to be graphic or anything. They rip these dogs apart.
It's hideous. It's just hideous.
I mean, they rip them. They rip their guts out. They rip their heads off. They rip legs off. This is the reality of a bait dog.
We have seen instances where a bait dog's teeth were filed down, so there's no way they could hurt
they
the
can't
pit bull that
they
was
couldn't fight.
tearing them up.
It is the reason that free to a good home is no longer an option.
Well,
It's just not an option anymore. It's because those
you
are...
want to become popular in this community? Let me find out that you got bait dogs. I will make you a very well-known person.
The really sweet girlfriend of the guy that's looking for the bait dog will show up and put on a really great act about giving it a wonderful home and everything, and convince that person that, oh, they're handing that animal off to a perfectly good place.
Well, it was suspicious on that call that we had because the girl said that there's other factors involved, and I hope the local police department is notified. We'll continue to look into it. They do have an animal control, so hopefully today they're looking at that case. What else can we go ahead and get in the next few minutes that you're trying to get out about the? First off, y'all are a nonprofit organization.
We are a registered 501c3, all volunteer organization. All donations to us are tax deductible, and
He's heavy, isn't he?
we're always in need of additional funding for our spay and neuter fund. That's the core of this organization. Is the more money we have to work with there, the more we can. And we are focused on Covington County. We don't receive government funding. We don't receive funding from the Humane Society of the United States. It's what we're able to raise here, and with our fundraisers. And
We had some incredibly generous donations from the community that have allowed us to get the building that we have. And we're in the process of fencing in the backyard, which is really going to let us have
We're going to go
a
out
big
there this
area.
Saturday and videotape and come out
Wonderful.
and visit with
Wonderful.
y'all, so that way we can bring it to our viewers as well.
we have a new website, AndalusiaHumaneSociety.org, and we are also on Facebook. And we try to keep both of them current with information about what's going on. And we're a membership organization. We need members, and
That's what these are. I got mine. All right, now, if all they have to do if they're interested in becoming a volunteer or becoming a member, all they have to do is go to the Facebook or to the website, and they can contact you there. For those that are wanting to pick the phone up right now and call you and say, I'm here, I know there's somebody itching out there to do that, what's your phone number?
582-2665.
2665, 582-2665. Call them, volunteer. You can volunteer. And, foster homes are needed, folks. I don't know if that's what they're going to plug, but I'll plug it. Foster homes are needed because they can't do it all. And it's a shame to see an animal as loving as this. He had mange, he wasn't taken care of, and then look at what he's turned out to be.
Mange is actually very easy to take care of. You just have to dip them every week for 5 or 6 weeks and stay on top of it, and it does go away.
It takes time.
And folks are looking at me and say, what happened to your hair, Eddie? It's not the mange. I got it cut this week. Jim, Deborah, we're looking forward to having you on next Tuesday.
Oh, I will.
And hopefully this guy, Willie, right here sitting there, this mean, terrible just can't sit down and be quiet dog is for adoption. And he's got such a bad rap, just sitting there, just smiling and being loved on. Folks, I'm telling you, if I didn't have a Chihuahua and a Jack Russell and 2 cats, I'd be all over this guy. But great opportunity for somebody. Obviously, he's going to get along great with kids. Obviously.
He'll be at the Humane Society Saturday from 10 to 2 for anybody that wants to meet him.
Or they can call you at 582?
Absolutely. 582-2665.
Or go to the website?
Right.
Which is?
AndalusiaHumaneSociety.org.
Or on Facebook.
Or on Facebook.
As
Andalusia Humane Society.
Okay, and if you want Willie, get up with him. Let us know if it happens.
We will.
Willie needs a home.
We will.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
God bless y'all. Thank y'all for the work that you do in our community.
Thank you.
God bless. Folks, remember, keep it real, keep God in it. This is Eddie Lewis reporting here for Good News, Covington County.